Okay? And was Delilah supposed to betray Samson in the spiritual? I talk about how Samson, first of all, if Samson had kept his mouth shut and would stop blabbing his business to the woman, then she wouldn't have found out the information she needed that she could hurt him with. He gave her the ammunition that she needed to hurt him because he blabbed. Okay? But why did he blab it? There's a story behind that. You got to find out why. First of all, Samson had a hole in his heart. He was lonely. He needed somebody in his life. His wife was a beautiful woman, and she left him. He said he didn't want her, and he was mad because she ended up in bed with somebody else. So she left him. And when he had a hole in his heart, he ruled over. He was a ruler for about 20 years or so, the Bible says, and he had a hole in his heart. He was lonely. He needed somebody. But how many of y'all know if you turn to God, God will send you somebody? You know what I mean? He'll send you the right person. Not just somebody who's breathing. A live body isn't always better than a dead body. Come on, somebody. you know. And then I talk about the healings of Jesus when Jesus walked the face of the earth. First of all, the blind man at the pool of Bethesda. Did you need to ask him, do I want to get healed? Okay, do you want to get healed? Do you? I mean, you see the man is, can't see. Who wouldn't want their sight? Ask Paul, who was on his way on the road, straight street going to Damascus one day. Ask him about his sight. Here's a man who had his sight and it was taken away from him for 3 days. Man never knew whether he was going to get his sight back or not. Nobody said, oh, you're going to get your sight back in 3 days. Just do what I tell you to do. He never knew that whether he's going to get his sight back or not. That's enough to humble you right there. And I talk about him in this book too. I will do a new thing and you said the Lord, available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net, y'all. Written by Dr. Sylvia Black, yours truly. Hi, holla at a sister. Okay? Now I talk about also Lazarus. Now we know about Lazarus, right? And for all you don't know about Lazarus, it's in my book. I will do a new thing and you said the Lord, and available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net, and it's also in the Bible. But I put what's in the Bible in here. Now, Lazarus, he was howling like a wolf day and night. Hoo, hoo, howling all day and night like a wolf. So what the people did, they chained him away from the city. They didn't want to even be bothered with the man. Rather than trying to pray for him or heal him, here they gonna chain the man. Leave us, you stay over there and we'll stay over here. Okay, and they chained him. He howled like a wolf. He cut himself all the time. And when he went to bed, he slept he slept in the cemetery, because that was his home, the cemetery. Okay, but guess what? Jesus and Lazarus were homeboys. And here's a man, Lazarus, somebody that nobody don't want to be bothered with, somebody that appears to be out of his mind, going crazy, hurting himself up. So if he hurting himself, he gonna hurt you. Okay, just crazy out of his mind, howling like a wolf, and he ain't no wolf, he's a man. Okay, and he sleeps in the cemetery. And him and Jesus are good friends. They were related. Okay, Mary and all that, this, how does that happen? How can a crazy man be friends with the Messiah? Aha! How many of y'all know? I will do a new thing and you said the Lord, available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net. Okay, now they were more, after Jesus had healed Lazarus from his mental illness. Okay, the people were more afraid of Lazarus while he was sitting clothed in his right mind than they was when the man was crazy and howling like a wolf. Isn't that amazing? Now here you as an individual, you might be living in poverty or whatever, and you upset about your situation because you're broken up, and whatnot, can't find a decent paying job, got to settle for all these low paying jobs. Got to deal with these hostile supervisors who want you to bow down to them. Ready to throw you in the lion's den like they did Daniel, because you got your own God and they got several of them that they worship, which we all know that's idolatry right there, and that's blasphemy. Okay? But how many of y'all know, God is a God of second chances. Just because you might be making minimum wage or you might be working cleaning toilets for a living, that don't make you any less of an individual than somebody who's a manager, who's managing an entire department. Okay, you're a human being, and if you know the Lord, then you're in a better position than you are than somebody who's the president of a company or has a high paying position or a high ranking position who's on their way to hell. You see, because if your peace is in your money, then when you lose your money, you're going to lose your peace. Come on, somebody talk to me. Okay? When your peace is in your job, okay, when you lose your job, you're going to lose your peace. Come on, somebody talk to me up in here. You might end up like Lazarus did, howling like a wolf, cutting yourself up all the pieces, all right, and sleeping in the cemetery. Okay, come on, somebody talk to me, please. It could happen to you. Okay, so don't underestimate that, baby. One day you could be making $50,000 a year, and the next day you could be on unemployment. One day you could be driving a nice car, and the next day you could be taking the bus. Okay, so do not get wrapped up in these things. It says, do not build your treasures on earth, but where moth and dust doth corrupt, and where thieves steal and break. But build your treasures in heaven, where moth nor dust does not corrupt, and where thieves cannot steal. Because where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Okay? So if you place your heart and your confidence in God, God will give you the confidence and the ability. When the walk that you walk, when you confident, baby, in your walk, you could walk like you probably walk like you own the place. Okay, you walk in there with so much authority and you talk, your voice carries. And you in there, baby. Hey, how you doing? What's up? You all happy and joyful. And you just came out of some mess the night before. You just was dealing with some traumatic situations a couple of days ago. But here you are, baby, walking like you ain't never been through nothing. You might be living in the ghetto somewhere, but the ghetto is just a name for a nice neighborhood. That's all. The ghetto, that's just a name that they gave the area. It don't mean that it's a bad neighborhood. It just means that that's what they classified it as the ghetto. But how many of y'all know that's your mansion that you living in the ghetto? Okay, that's not the ghetto. That's their version of the ghetto where you live at. That don't make it your version. Don't conform to the ways of the world. What the world has to say about what the situation is and whatnot. Because we serve a God who can turn a nobody into a somebody. And you might think that you are nobody walking down the street, baby. But next thing you know, you could turn around and then all of a sudden now you got notoriety. And you got cash money and now people starting to respect you. You may have given your gifts out for free like Joseph did when he told his dreams and didn't charge nobody nothing. And now they got to pay for your services. Come on, somebody talk to me up in here. You know what I mean? God says, I will do a new thing in you, baby. Don't think that just because you working on that low paying job or whatever, or you doing that job that you hate, or you working with those hostile people on your job, because I know that's what a lot of people deal with, because I've had to deal with that mess when I came up here to Buffalo. I'm not from Buffalo, I'm from New York City. And I never had to deal with no mess like this when I came up here. I can tell you some stories about some jobs that I had, and I probably will, because I'm writing a book about that. Okay? You can't, judge a book by its cover, because you may appear to somebody else to be nobody. Because you are broken down. You're feeling bad about your situation because they got a nice clothes on. They dress in some nice expensive clothes and you don't have it. You buy your clothes from, you might even go to the thrift store and buy your clothes, but you got a dress or a suit that would have cost you $100 if you'd have got it retail, but you were smart enough to buy it for $10. But please don't tell nobody you got that suit from the Salvation Army, because I know that happened to me one time. Somebody said, where you got that dress from? I said, the thrift store. Never did that again. But some of the stuff that I have is very nice. Some of the dresses that I have are very nice dresses. And I did not pay top dollar for them, baby. I know where to shop, how to shop, and where to look for good quality stuff. Okay? You walking in that workplace, baby, looking good. Everybody else wearing jeans and you wearing some nice clothes and whatnot. What you doing working on this job making $8-9 an hour and you work dressing in $100 clothes? You got on a silk outfit today. Yesterday you had on a nice outfit. You got on all these out. You ain't wearing no jeans because that's not what you feel comfortable in. Don't let the world conform you and make you into what they want you to be, because you'll end up in hell. And we don't want that to happen. We got to follow God. There's a different road. It's a narrow road that you follow that's less traveled by people. A lot of people don't travel through this road. So it's going to be a road that may be dark and dismayed at times. You may not be able to see your way, but you better believe it that when there's two set of footprints, when there's you and God, Now there's only one set because God was carrying you. Okay, so don't underestimate the power of God, baby, because he says, I will do a new thing in you, and he means that. The book of Isaiah talks about this. I have a lot of the chapters in the book of Isaiah in here, and the book of Isaiah is like a mini Bible, and it's very inspirational. Actually, the second half of the book of Isaiah. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You, and I encourage you, my brothers and sisters, to get a copy of this book. I will do a new thing in you, and it's available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net. It's available now. The editing and all that is complete. I tell you, this was like the first book that I wrote. Not the first book, but I wrote this book before I wrote Vengeance is Mine, said the Lord, I will repay. And I wrote this before I wrote this one. Okay, this is a lot bigger, but this one here is a little more, it talked about what I was dealing with at the time, and I needed to be ministered a word about what I was dealing with, so the only way that I could do that, and I had to write about it. I talked to God about it, and he showed me what to put in this book, and I have a lot of his healings in here, because how many of y'all know when you're sick and afflicted, you're on your bed of affliction, the only thing you're thinking about is getting well, the will to live. And that's enough to want to break you down and make you humble. Okay, so we got to try to remember to stay humble, not haughty. And don't let the world conform you. Don't conform to the world's way, because you're not of the world, you're of the Spirit. And I want to thank you for joining me, and I encourage you to please join me next week. The same time, Wednesdays at 6:30 to 7, right here on Time Warner Public Access TV Channel 20. And I also encourage you to visit my YouTube address at sblack3001. Holla at a sister.